Welcome to Inside the Wires, hands down the best podcast in all of racket sports. Listener discretion may be advised for a younger audience.
All right, thanks for listening and coming back to Inside the Wires. We're excited to have a repeat guest. Dave Broderick, the director at Fiddler's Elbow in New Jersey, is on today. Dave's been involved with paddle for many years, both as a high-level player, as a director, an APTA board member, behind the scenes at tournaments, especially the Short Hills Classic, Short Hills Invitational, wealth of knowledge and just an all-around great guy that the paddle world has plenty of and can never have too many people like Dave. So here's Dave. Video is the behind the scenes. All right, there we go. So so I figured we talk about any good stories. A story about the guy driving through the club, league classic, team nationals, what you would change if you were the benevolent dictator of paddle and there was no board to deal with. It was the rules according to Dave. What about padel? Any interest? That seems to be a hot topic lately around, certainly around Chicago, Philly. People are talking about a little bit. Dick Squires, that's just a general comment because we have some good Dick Squires videos circulating now.
I haven't seen any of those.
They're
good.
We'll have to share that. You know who Dick Squires was, right?
Absolutely, sure.
So he's apparently he wrote this book. What's the book called, Ben? Do you know? You remember? It's like Rules of Paddle or something like that. But it's
yeah.
It's
Was it
just
the one with him in his red sweatsuit on the cover?
Yes.
Holding the paddle, like hugging the paddle.
No, he had the black and white striped pants on. It's like a black and white book. Yeah.
Oh, well, so he's talking, like, he has some lines in it, like talking about playing mixed doubles and, hitting the ball as hard as you can at the woman, because even though she's a docile creature, you got to show her who the boss is.
Is that the one you're talking about? That's from a YouTube video.
Yeah, that's the jacket. Yeah. Wait, so you mean those comments aren't allowed in 2022 anymore?
Oh, there's some classic stuff there. There's some classic stuff. Oh, the Chinese are working early today. Oh, sorry, I can't say that we're recording. Anyways, sorry, I just got a message from.
I think everyone knows where stuff's made.
Yeah, I guess that's not a surprise. All right, let's. I don't know. Let's just have at it, have fun, have a talk, all about paddle. And then we'll finish up with some rapid fire questions.
Oh, you want to do those? Okay.
Cool. Yeah, we'll throw a couple of those in.
Yeah.
And a little get to know Dave. Ooh, we should open with those. What do you think?
Rapid fire?
Yeah, we should open with those.
Let's do it.
All right, we'll do that. And
lead the way, my friend.
And then when we we'll wrap up, hey, thanks for being on, whatever, but stay on, and then we'll stop the audio part of the recording. We'll chat for a sec. Maybe we'll stop the video if there's anything good to say too. All right. We ready?
Ready.
Love it. All right, I'll do the intro, Ben.
Yes, sir.
All right, welcome back. Today we're pleased to have on a repeat guest from one of our, probably the first year of shows. We've got
Cinco de Mayo.
Definitely from our first Cinco de Mayo. You're correct. The man with the funny hat, Ben. He's got a good looking hat on now, but Dave Broderick. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here, and thank you for having me on and inviting me to be a part of the show.
Absolutely. One of our favorite announcers, by the way, for any live streaming events that occur. So
he's in our top 10
for sure.
Yeah,
definitely. Maybe even though there's only about 8 commentators.
That's about it. Yeah,
for sure. Our top 9, definitely our top 9. No, Dave does the pro flight stuff. Did you ever do any other APTA live streaming stuff as well?
So it's funny. I was doing a bunch of pro flight paddle stuff for Drew, and Patty and I and Guy kind of started it in the beginning. And Patty had always asked me about doing stuff for the APTA. And I always told her that I was more than happy to help if I was around, if I could do it. and I guess they had Brad, they had Mark and other announcers, Jerry and Lauren. And so I guess they didn't need me to help. And then all of a sudden up in Connecticut, I show up to go watch Drew play one year. And I'm walking by and all of a sudden my phone's ringing. It's Brad calling me saying, hey, I just saw you walk by. Can you come over and call the Blake Anderson, Martin Bostrom match? Because I'm doing it by myself. And I'm like, look, if you guys are willing to have me, I'm willing to go out there and talk about it. And it's slipping my mind right now who Blake and Martin beat, but it was an epic match and a great win for those guys. And it was in Connecticut. So my one major sort of full match commentary for the APTA was the round of 16 in the national championship.
Love it.
You know, I guess they, my previous announcing was good enough to get me in that time slot.
Oh, I'm trying to think who that was. I do remember that. That was a great
I think
match.
it was McNerney.
We were out there for that, Ben.
It was Compton McNerney, wasn't it?
Or was it McNerney, Modek, Travinsky?
Oh yeah, it might have been, right?
Was it Maddox?
Yeah,
I think so.
Because he wasn't playing. Graham wasn't playing with Brian Compton until more recently. That would have been Matic.
Okay.
That was, remember, I think they won. Did they win charities that year, or did they? I know they won a big pro flight event early on that year. I think. But
I'm
yeah,
not
I think
sure.
that.
I think that's who they beat.
Yeah. That was a great match, and that was they called in the reliever for that one, huh? Brad called you out of the blue and said, hop on into the booth, throw on the headphones.
That's it. And
Love that.
again, I mean, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy, watching the matches. I enjoy all the people that are involved in platform tennis throughout the years. I was just telling someone how after all these years of playing league matches, I'm starting to get like, there were some players that used to go to certain tournaments or certain stops because of the lunch, the favor, the venue,
The shower.
Right. And I was telling someone that that's what I feel like now. I go to Orange Lawn to play league matches in the E division just to see guys I haven't seen in a year. And I go down the shore because, my roommate from college lives down there and all his buddies. So it's becoming where I'm going around playing these matches more nostalgic than it is actually trying to win and lose.
Right. So how much are you enjoying no longer being on the APTA board?
I haven't been on the board for a while. I don't know. I just, sometimes I felt when I was on the board that we'd go to meetings, we'd get emails sent and kind of deals were already done already. And my vote really didn't matter. As I told them when I was leaving the board, I feel like my agenda or the things that I want to promote and help with didn't necessarily need me to be on the board. I'm a big advocate as I walked into my first board meeting, I announced to them that I fully understand that there's one Drew Broderick in the platform tennis world, but there are millions of Dave Brodericks. And, as much as I love Drew, I'm fighting for Dave Broderick. Not selfishly, but just, I know that's where there are more people. Sure. And they're the ones that sometimes get overlooked. And, why shouldn't they have tournaments and learning opportunities and have the same experience that all the top level guys do as well?
Well, and in full disclosure, Dave's selling himself a little bit short there. Dave is Dave may not be Drew, but Dave is exceptionally high level player. So he's no Noah Seidenberg, that's for sure. But
and most people forget, I am much taller too.
And better looking, of course.
Well, I don't know. He might argue that one. He can't argue that I'm taller.
There you go. But no, Dave's certainly an accomplished player in his own right. But you're right. I mean, I think that's. So are you? I mean, that being said, are you happy with kind of the way things have gone now with the, obviously the PTI tournaments and all the stuff that I think go on kind of towards that end now, towards the, the club player, the league player that may not have a shot at winning a bigger tournament? Do you think that that's kind of the step in the right direction of what you're hoping for?
I do. And, if you ask most of the people that we have friendships with in common, most of them will tell you that I'm not the biggest PTI fan or advocate or supporter, but I think it's something that in the future could work well if there's more data or more years of data that's collected and used. Again, I talk about just my own experiences in our New Jersey league. And when you look at some of the PTIs, like I know for my own teams, it's like, well, we're using the PTI to stack our team against the rules because this is the number they're given, but that's not their number. But you know what? I'm going to put them on a lower court to try to get a win. And, if you got to play in PTI strength, and again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it needs more data. You look at golf handicaps and they're pretty accurate, but most of the people with accurate handicaps also have a couple of hundred rounds in them.
Right.
If I go out and play golf and I put one score in and I happen to shoot a 5 under par, I mean, does that make me a +5 handicap or a +7 handicap? Probably not. But after 100 rounds, it should, it should go to where it's supposed to be.
Well, but don't you think that some of that inherently, like, I mean, golf is the easy analogy, right? Kind of the idea of PTI is similar to that index, but I think, inherently golf is you're playing against yourself, not against somebody else, or you're not relying on somebody else. I mean, I think inherently with the PTI, when you're playing with somebody else, like we've talked about this before. I don't know what other areas of the country do as far as like when you play, you have to play, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you have to play for your own club as a pro there, as a director.
Correct. Yes.
Right? And so that's going to affect who you can then play with. Whereas like in Chicago, you can basically, certainly the highest level, like a guy like you, if you're in Chicago, you could play any place you wanted to. So you might play for Series 3 or, Division C would be the equivalent, right? If that's the highest team you have at your club. But then you might go play Series 1 with, a group of other directors or really good players, and it wouldn't be necessarily for your club. So obviously those matches, I think, would be more applicable to PTI. Whereas, if you're playing with someone like me, you're never going to get a ball the whole time. And even if you're playing, let's say you're playing against two guys of equal ability, it seems like the PTI formula doesn't work well in that scenario, right?
Well, I think, one of the big questions I've always been asked in the rackets teaching world is, why don't we have a ladder? Why don't we have a point system? Well, anytime you're doing things as a team, it makes it harder because it's not a true value of how good or not good you are, because, and we all know that platform tennis at a certain level is kind of easy to play keep away. So the better player might not see that many balls. And at the end of the day, if you lose a match, your score is getting affected just as much as the person you played with. But meanwhile, you've only hit 5% of the balls.
Right.
So do I think it's something that could be a good numeric score for people playing paddle? And, they can go to Chicago and say, hey, I'm a 27 PTI, any chance you can get me in a game? Or they can go to Cincinnati, or, they can go to Philadelphia. So I do think it eventually could be something good. Would I set my watch to it today? No. Just because, like I said, I don't know if there's enough data that's put in for the numbers to be all that accurate.
So it's an evolution. I mean, so you think eventually it'll be there, just not yet.
I think so. And, and I think when it came out, I think there were some people and some leagues that may have rushed to put it out just because it was something new and they thought it could be, sort of make things easier. I'm sure in some instances they did make things easier, but I also think that because of, it not being 100% foolproof and accurate, that it also created, some issues. But like I said, I think going down the road, and I don't know if that's going to be during my lifetime, but I think it's, going to be something that could be a good tool to sort of score someone's talent level and ability.
Yeah. All right. So that leads into a good question. So obviously you've been involved with the APTA board. You've been a director for a long time. You've been a high level player for a long time, been involved in the game at all different levels, commentating, whatever. So Dave Broderick's the benevolent dictator for a day. What no board to run anything past. What do you do? What changes do you make? What do you do?
I think, well, the one thing, and I was just thinking about it this weekend even, I think we want to grow the game, but like to have two national level tournaments on the same weekend. I think there was the Atlantic Classic and what was the other one? Cincinnati?
Cleveland.
I don't know how that happens. We don't have 10 million people playing platform tennis. Why would we have two, pretty high level events on the same weekend? Maybe structure the tournament schedule a little bit better. I know they're trying to do more live streaming. How do you pick one over the other as to who you're going to live stream and who you're going to do that for? But, I think a lot of it is growing the game, but I think they've got to look at the schedule. I still think I like the PTI events, whether, whether I think the PTI is 100% foolproof and accurate, but I do like having the skill level events. Last year I was part of the men's team nationals at Fiddler's Elbow. Greg Morgan was the tournament director, and we were the host site, and I really enjoyed that. And you could see that guys were all the way from 5 to 10 PTIs to 60 to 70 PTIs. You know what? They were all, minus 55 PTIs when it came to having fun and enjoying it. They really enjoyed it. They enjoyed playing all good matches. So I think that's a really good thing to have, because, again, and we always bring it up where, I can't just write a check and go sign up for the Masters. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, where for many years, any player could just sign up for a tournament. And you know what? For some of them, they didn't mind going and playing, the Johans and Stevens and Micks and Drews and Martins and the rest of the guys, and the Mark Parsons and the Wands of the world. Some guys enjoyed playing them because they don't have the opportunity to ever be on the court with them.
It's a free lesson.
What?
It's a free lesson.
Basically, right. It was a free lesson.
We like to call ourselves. We called ourselves tournament fluffers, is what we were.
Or as Ron Cummins used to say, the fodder.
Yes, for sure.
The line fillers.
Yes,
like at the Grammys, the seat fillers.
That's right.
So, because I think, look, at the end of the day, whether it's a tournament or it's a league match, if people are going to travel and commit to the time and the effort to be there, I don't think anybody likes winning 6-0, 6-0. And I know people don't like losing 6-0, 6-0. At the end of the day, if you could play 3 matches where you lost 7-5 in the third, you won 6-4 in the third, you can go home and it's an enjoyable experience. I try to tell that to everyone, even when it comes to being on the club teams, that, listen, whether you're on the A League or the A team or the Z team in the Z League, if you're playing competitive matches, that's 100%. What it should be all about. It shouldn't be that, well, I belong in, in the C division. Well, you know what? If you're having good matches in the G division, just have good matches. And, because that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, you want good competitive matches. You want to have an opportunity to win. And I think that's what should make it enjoyable for most players.
Well, Noah, you might be able to answer this better than anyone. Why is the APTA not pushed turbo more? That's perfect. Well, everything Dave's just said, it's the short amount of time. You get 3 to 4 matches.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. I mean, I assume they're supportive of it. And I
feel like I'm the only, me and Franco are the only ones really hosting them. And I know Ara actually reached out to us and asked, because he wants to do some in Jersey now.
Well, I think Drew is promoting something similar, right, to this turbo, like Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys have something similar out there where the Drew did it or somebody did it, I thought, where they're like 1-day tournaments. They might be 4 hours long, and they're usually like 8 or 16 teams, and they bang it out, right? There's no third set.
Drew's doing those summit series.
Yeah,
oh,
that's
cool.
what it is.
For all different PTI levels, and
that's what it is.
Yeah,
stuff like that. And I think to keep people in competitive situations is way more enjoyable. And and you're gonna keep their attention in the game.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, back when I was a youngster at the Short Hills Club. Now, it really wasn't that too long ago. Dennis Collins, who was the platform tennis chairman and the director of the Short Hills Invitational, he had the foresight to see that, these guys don't want to play 12 matches a day, or maybe we should go and have an elite draw, and then maybe we have a championship draw. And, there was obviously some pushback that, what about the guys that get left out of it? And, he went to the APTA and said, maybe we give them prize money as well. Maybe we give them points to be comparable with the elite draw. And I'm trying to think, I want to say, I think it was a couple of guys from Baltimore or Maryland that came up and actually won the tournament. And one of the guys said to us that, I can't remember the last time I was in my car and looking forward to going to a tournament that I might actually win.
Right.
And, they actually did win it. As opposed to, I'm spending going from Maryland up to Jersey, and I'm hoping to come in 18th place or 14th place or 12th place, where, this actually gave me a good opportunity to win it. I did win it. I made a little bit of money. And now next year I get to play in the elite draw because I won this draw.
So what do you think about this idea? And I've been talking about this for a year or so now, and I probably stole this from somebody, because I'm sure I wouldn't have come up with it. Maybe it was Drew's idea. But if you have a 64 team,
if it was, just don't tell him that.
Yeah, no, it was. I'll give you credit. So you have a 64 team field. You have 64 teams sign up for a tournament. Break it up into 4 16 team tournaments, and have prize money for the winners of each tournament. And same idea, right? You bump up into the next higher bracket for the next year or whatever. I mean, the reality is, to your point, the team who's 17th or 18th ranked is probably not going to win the top tournament, right?
Correct.
So give them their own tournaments and same thing is have people comparable abilities where everybody's got maybe a legitimate chance to make some noise in that tournament. But you break it up that way, and you actually have smaller 16 team tournaments like that.
No, I would be a big fan of that. And again, talking with Drew and Marjorie Hodgson, who's another tournament runner here, tournament director here in New Jersey. I have a lot of women's events that I run for, New Jersey women. They go from series 1 to, I think it's like 16. And so I'll run these holiday tournaments. We just had a Fiddler's Fright Fest. We've had the Fall Invitational. We always have St. Patrick's Day, which is always a big hit. And, we do it for women that play series 5 to 9, 10 to 15. And I used to do 32 draws. And speaking with Drew and Marjorie, they're like, if you could do a 16 draw and maybe do 2 or 3 of them, you can get that all done in one day. And people aren't playing 6 matches or 7 matches, or they're not complaining that they're finishing too late. So, I've adopted that format myself. And I do think that the 16 team draw is a really good format if you're trying to accomplish all of those goals.
Yeah, no, I agree. So are you finding obviously right now you're talking about things that are catering to the league player, the club player, right? As opposed to the highest level players. Are you finding that people have an interest in playing tournaments, or are a lot of people pretty content just to play their club matches, their league matches, and pick up and that's it?
No, I think the club level players are looking for tournaments to play in, because, if I go tomorrow and my Fiddler's Elbow team, like I said, we're in the E division. If I decide tomorrow to go and ask one of the A division teams to play for them, well, I'm probably going to be playing guys that I played 25 years ago, because everybody's still playing. Everyone is still competitive. Everyone, my age and maybe a little bit younger, a little bit older, their skills are still very good. So, I think it allows the tournament play allows you to maybe play whether you're better than them or not as good as them, but it just allows you to play different players.
Right.
And like I said, we had on for Halloween, all the women, they came dressed up to lunch. They had great costumes on. They had a lot of fun. We had three 16 draws. And the reason we did that was by accident. When we launched it and we sent the link out for everyone to sign up, my daughter Marissa and I were watching it, and it was kind of coming in slow. And I said, you know what? I kind of forgot about it for 5 days. I went back, and next thing you know, I had 53 teams signed up. So it was either, do I tell 30 to 40 women that they can't play in the event, or do I try to go and get a couple more courts and, include everyone? And we wound up fortunate enough to getting extra courts, and, everybody had a blast. And like I said, I think they are looking for different opportunities. I know MI Paddle has their league. I know there are flex leagues. I know there are partners leagues popping up all over, which I think is all good, which unfortunately, though, it does lead to another problem of overcrowded on the paddle courts. And from what I've talked to many people, people aren't going in and adding 4 courts to their club every other year.
Right.
So I do think it's going to get to a point where, as popular and as successful as they are, I think they're going to go into a little bit of a decline because, not many people want to go to their club and they can't get a court because there's a flex league, there's a partners league, there's a men's league, there's a women's league. I just think that all of this, kind of positive efforts in growing the game could at some point lead to overcrowded on the platform tennis courts.
Yeah, right. That's chicken or the egg thing, right? You want to have enough people playing to justify more courts, and then if you have too many people playing, then there's enough courts and they can't build them fast enough because there aren't enough companies and they're too expensive and everything else, right?
Right.
Yeah, just talking about league play too. I do want to give a plug because I know. I'm sure I'm missing plenty, but I know there's 2 other areas that are starting to get league play, which I think is really cool. Columbus, Ohio, which I think they must have about 12 or 14 courts. They must have at least that many, maybe 16 courts now at least. So they're getting a league this year for the first time ever. And the Twin Cities in Minnesota, I believe there are 24 courts in Minnesota, and they're now getting leagues for the first time there, which is, I think, when we're in Chicago or Jersey, you kind of take for granted that you have leagues that are fully developed and everything else, but it is kind of cool when you start having inter-club leagues where they never had them before. I like that.
No, and I think, again, it goes back to the overall sort of goal, I think, that the APTA should have of growing the game and getting more people to play, getting more league play. I think that's great. I think it's great to do. And, again, it just gives guys opportunities to play for something, a little bit of competitiveness, a little camaraderie now that they're playing for their club. I think those are really good things that are happening. And, I'm glad you threw the plug out there because those are, I think those are things that people in the platform tennis world should hear about.
Yeah. And you talked about team nationals, and we've talked about team nationals on the show before, and we had a bunch of guys who participated. As I participated last year, already talking about doing this year. My wife's upstairs, so she can probably hear this, but we've actually decided, since they're going to have men are going to be in Chicago next year and women are going to be out east, that all the guys from our team are actually going to stay at a hotel, even though it's like literally the courts are 20 minutes from where we are. So
Right.
We're all going to go stay in a hotel just so we can, have the effect of going out of town for it. So,
Yeah, no, and I think that's what, those events are fun. And, again, it's just, I think even from the early, it's still really in the early stages. And, even last year as being involved in the team nationals, when, Greg Morgan came to me and was like, yeah, there's like 300 guys playing, or there's 300, whatever the number was. It was just like, wow, that's pretty impressive that you have all these guys. And I mean, how long have the team nationals been around? 5 years, 4 years?
Yeah, with a couple years off for COVID, for
Right.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I
No,
mean, I think
that's
that's
great.
good. And I think, again, I think that's just adds to the popularity of, and the healthiness of the game.
Right, right. No, for sure. And that's, that's such a neat environment because it's like you're getting there with a group of guys that you're actually picking. I mean, I'm sure everyone loves the teammates on their club team, but the reality is when you put together a team for team nationals, you're actually picking who you want to be with for a weekend as opposed to who's ever already on the team, right? So you're
Right.
picking a group of people that you want to be with and just go have fun. And obviously you're trying to win, but if you don't, you're not really that broken up about it. Just out having fun playing paddle with hanging out with the guys, right?
We did handpick your club team this year too.
That's true too. Well, that's
You've got-
because nobody wants to play with me. So
Every Thursday night, you've got all 10 guys you want.
that's
Oh,
right.
and I think events like that, like, the team nationals in particular, where, you go to all the other tournaments and, you don't see the other players hanging out on the side of the court rooting for each other.
Right. Yeah.
They're watching the paddle, they're watching the matches. I'm sure deep down, some of the guys watching want others to win more than others, and vice versa. But the team nationals, it gave guys the opportunity to like cheer for their friends, cheer for their teammates, and nobody thought twice about it. We're like, that's kind of bad sportsmanship. That guys are rooting for each other when we're all playing against each other. But you know what? It's a different element of that team aspect, and I think that's it adds a lot of fun and interest to the game.
Yeah, and you guys again, you and Greg did a fantastic job. I mean, I'm not sure. Obviously, I wasn't here in Chicago last year to see what happened, and I understand the weather wasn't terribly cooperative here in Chicago for the women last year, but it sure seems like they all had a good time as well. So I think that's something everyone should hopefully look forward to when it comes around, when it rolls around again. What are there anything else if Dave is supreme ruler of paddle for a day? Any other things you want to change?
No, again, I think, maybe one of the things I would try to figure out is, you kind of touched on it earlier, is I just think that we've got to figure out a way to get more courts out there. I just kind of looked into it recently and again, and I think it's a pretty big price ticket right now to get courts added. And I know Fiddler's Elbow wants to add courts, but I don't know if they want to spend $500,000, at a club that's doing 72,000 golf rounds a year.
Right.
I don't know if that's where they're looking to make their investment. I'm sure they would rather fix up some, sand traps and tees and greens. So that would be one thing I would probably, as the APTA, look at and go to the companies and say, listen, we're not trying to take money out of your pocket, but what can we do we're growing the game. What can we do to help you build more courts, but also make it so that more people aren't shying away from building courts because of the price tag.
Right. Although, my understanding is that everyone's backed up a year plus or something like that. So it seems like
Yeah.
right. Right. No, Ben's club is backed up quite a bit. So it's like I guess that isn't too much of a hindrance right now. That may be at some point, but no, you're absolutely right. That makes perfect sense. Talk to us a little bit about, for people who haven't, obviously we have, it's fascinating, by the way, and Ben knows this, but like at Charities, Chicago Charities a couple weeks ago, and then out in Philly, weekend before, was it? Philly was the weekend before that, I guess. People are coming up and say, hey, we love listening to the show and hearing what's going on. And it's fascinating. There's people from all over the country listening to the show, which we're appreciative of. But
is that why I'm on the show? People have been asking for me.
People have said, can you get that Dave Broderick guy back on? He was so good. So we're making some listeners' dreams come true. But for people who aren't in the New Jersey metro area, can you talk a little bit about the League Classic? Because I know that's coming up shortly, right?
It is. So
and talk about why people love it so much. That maybe that's equally important, because it's like a cultish event, isn't it?
It really is. It's it's kind of like a men's day long. It's like a full day party. It's a morning into the night kind of party atmosphere. I've been on the New Jersey men's board, I want to say for probably close to 20 years now, that I've been involved in it. And, from the early stages to now, it's grown unbelievable. And, you have to go back to years ago where Ron Cummins was the president, and, he used to go around telling everyone that, for the price that we charge for the League Classic, you have to sign up for it. We don't, everybody says, oh my God, I can't believe you have, 64 teams or 96 or 128 or whatever. And Ron used to say to them, why don't we have 500 teams? Because it's an amazing day, amazing favors, amazing prizes. The food and drinks all day long are incredible. The camaraderie again is great. We probably use 8 different clubs. I know this year, the League Classic sold out in an hour and a half. And I think there's over 200 teams on the list.
That's amazing.
We definitely sold out in an hour and a half. But the League Classic has grown, but it's been going pretty strong at 128 teams for quite some time now. And then I know last year we actually had 160 teams. And what Rob Scanone and Blake Anderson were very instrumental in was getting like Monday night play-in matches. So they would have 32 matches that would be for 16 spots in the main draw on Saturday. And they would fill it up, we'd fill it up to 128 teams then. So I'm pretty sure that's the plan for this year, to do another 160 team draw to start. And then for the Saturday, put it down to 128. But that's only for Saturday. That's all day Saturday. The quarterfinal matches for the last 20 years at the Short Hills Club is it's just an epic night of people yelling, screaming, cigar smoking, the radio's on, the music's going. 1 minute you're rooting for one guy, the next minute you're hoping he misses shots and you're booing him because you want to stay there longer. You don't want him to win the match. It's kind of a no holds bar type of an atmosphere, and then once Saturday night's over, you still only are down to the semifinals.
Right. And
now you go Monday night, and you have the semifinals and the finals. And, from my perspective of playing it for so many years, 1 year Blake Anderson and I were, I guess, fortunate or lucky, or, he's that good that he was able to get me into the finals of the League Classic 1 year. And, when you're playing in front of 400 or 500 people, and if you can't get up and play to that, you might as well pack it in. There's something wrong. I still talk about it all the time about how, that could have been one of the best platform tennis experiences, was, playing in front of that many people, people people you don't know. I still go to places and people like, I was there the night at Essex Fells that you and Blake, you guys lost in the finals, but it was an amazing match in 3 sets and you had a great semifinal win. And I'm like, yeah, that was a long time ago. Thank you for reminding me, because, it wasn't just yesterday. It was quite a bit, some years ago.
Sure.
But it's an amazing atmosphere. And the thing is, on Monday night, anyone that wants to attend can come, and the New Jersey Men's League provides food and drinks. Last year we did live streaming for Montclair Golf Club. So it's really become a special event, I think, in the platform tennis world. And quite honestly, I don't know if it changed the sort of the look of tournaments or the focus of tournaments, but I would have to say that it had some influence on the direction of where tournaments are going these days.
And the thing that makes that more interesting is you have to play with a member of your club, right?
Correct. You can't play with anyone else from a different club. You have to play with a member from your club. And also, we started last year where 2 pros from the same club can't play together.
So,
sense. It makes it a little bit more, kind of an even playing field, especially when some clubs don't have pros that work at the clubs, or some teams don't have pros on their roster. So, but you want to include the pros, and you want it to be, the best event that it possibly can be. I mean, and I'm probably going to forget someone, and I'm sure if they're not already mad at me for something I've said in the past, I'm sure they will be after tonight. But, what other, there are a lot of great leagues in the country, but, and Chicago, I'm sure they have the same, but like, when you have a tournament with Drew Broderick and Mick Adoya and Lucas Green and Victor Vidal and Brett Kraft and Louis Vauclair and Martin Bostrom and Blake Anderson and, Mike Stulak's not a pro, but he's a Hall of Famer. Chris Humphreys, Sven Burish. I mean, the list goes on and on. Unfortunately, I'm not going to name all of them, because then that would take away time from me. And, I'm on here so you could talk to me, not talk about these other guys. And if you notice, I didn't throw myself into that mix, by the way. So, anytime you can put an all-star cast like that, I mean, it's a great event. Last year I went and I watched, I also enjoy going, and for years, Vinnie Campbell on Monday night used to do all the cooking, and I would go and help him. And it was a fun atmosphere. And, even if I wasn't watching the paddle matches per se, there was a lot going on, a lot of good guys to see, people you haven't seen in a while, people you see every year at the League Classic. So it's truly, really a special event. And, I'm glad we now, they have articles about it in the Platform Tennis magazine, and they did live stream it last year. So, I mean, I think it's a good thing for the rest of the country to see that, not only is it a competitive event, but it's also, and again, at the end of the day, you go there to the Monday night and you have 400 or 500 guys. Half of them might not even know who's playing on the court. They're just there watching paddle, enjoying themselves, having fun,
Right. It's the essence of paddle, really, right?
Correct.
I mean, that whole thing right there is the essence of why guys play paddle and go out and watch, tournaments or matches and stuff like that, right?
No, it really is. And if I remember correctly, you were at the League Classic last year.
I'd heard stories. I had to go to it. Yeah, it was fantastic, and dead on right. It was.
Hopefully, it didn't disappoint.
No, it was a fantastic event. No, it was really, really good. So I and really, there's no reason why other areas in the country can't do the same kind of thing, right? I mean, if you've got a developed, whether it's Chicago, whether it's Westchester, whatever, right? If you've got a developed league and a big enough program, you can certainly do it any place.
Right. And the one thing is, and again, from a tournament director side of it is, even for my tournaments these days, I'm only running 3 of them. And the big reason for that is just it's getting harder to borrow courts. But for the League Classic, it's everybody in the league. It's open to anyone in the league, all the clubs in the league. So, we have the support of the teams. We have the support of the clubs. No one gives us a hard time about if we can use their courts for the League Classic. So it's really a community effort to make it such a successful event.
Yeah.
I got one quick question on it. Blake told us there's an art to picking your partner. He's like, you want someone good enough to win a few matches, but you don't want someone good enough that you have to play Saturday night or the finals. He goes, you want to start drinking at about 3 or 4 o'clock.
Well, that's true, but then there are others that start drinking at 7:30 in the morning.
Okay, John Anderson.
So that kind of goes on all day. But I tell everyone that too. When you're looking for a partner in the League Classic, you have 2 criteria. You're either finding the best possible player you could find to try to win the tournament, or you're trying to find the partner that you're going to have the most fun with. And platform tennis is a little bit like consuming alcoholic beverages that, you kind of have to know when to say when. And, you don't want to be stuck in some backdraw while the quarterfinals are going on at the Short Hills Club. Right. You want to be there for the excitement. You want to be there for the action. But you have to have that special guy that's willing to be there with you and not saying, no, come on, we can tough one more match out. We can tough. But it's like
We can win this.
by the time we get there, the fire pits are going to be, sputtering out. So there's definitely an art to it.
Okay. And is there we can start a scandal. Is there pros taking money under the table for partners?
Not that I know of. I mean,
No bribes? It's
no,
not like
I mean,
FIFA?
at least no one's offering me any money yet. So I don't know. But then again, no one's asked me to play in the 45s or 50 nationals. So how bad am I?
Wow.
Um,
Gee, I'd make you an offer. I'd have to figure out when they are, though, Dave.
That's it. I mean, it's 6 years out, I still haven't been asked to play in an age group event.
So that's a good question. So as you played in plenty of tournaments, and I assume you traveled for a bit to some of these, what's other than the League Classic, which I'm going to figure is probably your favorite tournaments, what's your favorite tournament outside of the League Classic? Over time.
I was, truth be told, I didn't travel that much when I was kind of playing a lot. But I always liked going down to Philly. I liked the year I went out to the Nationals in Pittsburgh. Westchester. Yeah, I think the one unique thing about platform tennis is that it's not the event that's good most of the time. It's, whether the Nationals are in Short Hills or the Nationals are in Chicago or, the League Classic, or I think it's the men and women that play and the camaraderie and the relationships and, going and seeing people that you haven't seen in a while. I think
Sure.
The people that participate in the events are, what really makes it a special event. So, having said that, I'm sure there are people that, have some favorites that they go to enjoy to play more than others. Like I said, I didn't do a ton of traveling outside of the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut area that often. But like I said, whether it was in Washington or Philly or, Rye, New York, when you see very similar group of guys and women over and over and over, that's what really makes the event special.
Right.
It's hanging around and knowing and being with good people.
Yeah. No, I think that's something that most people don't really understand unless you start going to a few of the tournaments. And it's like, it's like funny. There's an article that just came out, I think must be online in the whatever the APTA magazine or whatever the equivalent is now for that. But it was some guys who went up to paddle camp with Johan and Stephen Mitchell up in Owl's Nest, New Hampshire. And they were talking about how they went into this coffee shop and all of a sudden Johan and Stephen were there. And these guys are in awe of, of the guys. They were the national champs at the time. Right. And they were saying, well, you can't believe that these guys are right there and they'll talk to you and whatever. And it's like, I mean, the nature of paddle is I don't think it's like, it's not like tennis. It's not like football. It's not like whatever, where these guys are elitists. It's like they're, they're just people, right? And whether they're the top players in the country or guys who aren't even close to that, it's like, people are just good people usually and get along, hang out and have fun together, right?
Yeah, no. Just out of curiosity, did they quote me for that statement about Johan and Steven that it was me? Because I asked them not to use my name or my picture.
Not this time. Not this time. No, it's a group of guys that I went with. It was the guys that I've made fun of on the show a few times.
Neck pillow.
The neck pillow. Yeah, it was Dave Williams and his neck pillow, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but it's I think that's one of the things that's so unique about paddle that makes it so fun is that everybody is approachable, right? It's whether you've won 5 national championships or one or haven't won any and just whatever. I mean, it's like people are people and they're good people and just want to go out and have fun, have competitive matches and then hang out with their friends. You're absolutely right, which is such a cool part about the sport.
And I think just from knowing as many of the top level guys and men and women that I do, I know that as we were joking about in the beginning, who's in the first round or the line fillers or whatever you want to, but I know the high level players are truly appreciative that they come and they support them and they watch them and they sign up for the events because, again, at the end of the day, if it was the same 8 teams playing in every tournament,
Right.
you know, they're going to fizzle out at some point. You need everybody that's willing to play and participate to make them successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, for sure. So I know it's getting late on a Sunday here, but I've got a couple of things we've got to ask you about, a couple of classics here. So the first one is Dick Squires, who's become a new favorite of the show here. Dick has a book that I believe is almost now on Amazon's bestseller list.
I think we put it up there.
Yeah, we've been promoting the book so much that it was like an out of print book that all of a sudden they sold like 40 copies in the last week after we talked about it.
People are auctioning them off on eBay.
Pretty much. That's what I understand. All of a sudden they're selling like crazy. But so you know, as a guy who's been involved with paddle longer than either Ben and I have, what's the Dick Squires legend? What's his background? Do you know? I know you know of him from the tracksuit, but what's his background? What's the story?
Well, I think, I mean, to be honest, I don't know. I mean, I know his name. I think I met him early on when I first started. But I think he was just like a platform tennis instructor that was an enthusiast, and you know, he was just trying to promote the game of platform tennis and you know, get more people involved in it, make people more aware of the sport. And it's funny, the more you talk about the book, I'm thinking about every pro shop and paddle hut that I've walked into that actually has a copy of the book, like sitting on the table.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, you know, the extent of my knowledge. I know, I'm pretty sure Dick Squires is, where is he from? Like Westchester area, maybe?
I think so. Yeah.
Somewhere around there, or
He's in the
Connecticut.
Hall of Fame, Noah. Did you know that?
He's in the Hall of Fame?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he was one of, you know, kind of the original platform tennis instructors, or you know, sort of you know, authorities of the game.
Yeah. Well, he has some great comments from his book that was out in the mid 70s, Ben? Is that what it was?
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if
called The Complete Book of Platform Tennis.
yeah, it would kind of be like trying to put Archie Bunker on TV right now. It probably wouldn't work out so well. That was
Right.
kind of what his book was like. But you know, we'll play some clips of it now that'll I think help with that. All right, so what else? Oh, my favorite story ever, Dave, and I know you've told this before, but this this is just a great story. You know, I think people who belong to country clubs, I guess I do too, but you know, this isn't really a country club. This is kind of a community center. But you know, you kind of
have to have a pro to call it a country club.
So you know, country clubs have certain whatever aura, thought around them, whatever. The greatest story ever, Dave, at Fiddler's Elbow. You gotta tell the story about who you found swimming naked in the pool.
So yeah, no, apparently, you know, one day I go to work and I walk over to, you know, if you go past where the bag drop area, you go around, there's the golfer's entrance to the clubhouse.
Well, hold on. You got to set it up too. Like your club, for people who haven't been there, it's not like you go 90 feet off the road and all of a sudden there's the clubhouse, right? Like
Right.
It's an effort to get towards the clubhouse from the main road.
Right. So when you get off the highway, you know, normally you go through, there's a welcome house, and then you probably drive a half a mile to get up to the actual clubhouse. And so apparently this gentleman, he was in a car, he drove around the side of the building, and he literally drove his car through the doors of the golfer's entrance to the clubhouse. And then I guess when he realized that it wasn't a drive-through, the locker rooms. You
gotta set it up better than that, though, Dave. He not only drove into the door, he was well down the hallway with the car, right?
No, he was. The whole car was in the building.
Yeah.
Well, there's two other things here. I think I remember I'll get Blake to send us the pictures, but he drove through. He didn't hit any of the door frame.
No, he just went right through.
Perfectly through the doors, like smashed the glass, but the door frame was perfect. And then, if I remember rightly, didn't he Austin Powers the car?
Yes, because he tried turning around.
Yeah.
He tried to turn around in the hallway of the clubhouse. So he got stuck in there. He decided that he was going to get out of the car and go right into the women's locker room. He searched around a couple of lockers.
Why wouldn't you?
He found a woman's visor, put the visor on, decided he was going to take all his clothes off and go swimming in our trout stocked stream. And and people kind of started seeing the guy whipping around, because originally he was in the parking lot and people saw him looking into cars, and he was trying to open cars, and then all of a sudden he decides to drive his car through the clubhouse, and the police found him. He was swimming in the river with a women's golf visor on.
What time of year was this?
Excuse me?
What time of year?
I want to say it was probably in the springtime.
So the lake was probably still pretty cold.
No, it was decent. It was definitely not in the summer. But yeah, it wasn't frozen either, but he had to have been a little chilly.
Was there a follow-up to what happened to the fella?
I want to say he was in some he had some issues that he was dealing with, and I think he kind of got away from where he was being treated, and I'm not sure he knew really what he was doing potentially after he did it.
Probably not his first run-in with the law.
I definitely don't think it was, but this brought it to a whole new level.
Yeah. That's not usually a rookie move. That's a pro level event right there.
Yeah, but everyone will be happy to know that the foyer is all fixed. All the plaques are back up. The trophy case is back in, one solid piece. The doors were fixed, and luckily we haven't had any drive-throughs or swimmers in the lake, in the river lately.
That's too funny. That's too funny. That's a classic story. All right. Well,
Blake is a big fan of that picture, by the way.
Yes, he is.
We have to get that picture and post it up. I think we'll cut it into the video here for the video. All right, Dave. We'll wrap up with some quick questions to get to know Dave Broderick better.
All right.
You ready? All right, Ben, you got it?
Oh, I can do it if you.
Oh yeah, have at it.
Do we want to touch on paddle or just a bit of anything?
Hey, it's your show. You pick what you want, buddy.
Yeah, it hasn't. No. All right, Dave. Let's start with my favorite. One player you get to FYM. Who are you going at?
It would have to be someone that, if they did it back to me, wouldn't hurt me.
There's the most logical answer we've heard every time we've asked that question.
You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb, and I might have to say Mick, only because he went after me pretty good the night that we played them at Essex Fells in the League Classic. So, not that listen, I'm a big fan of Mick. I like Mick a very lot. But if I can go only one, he still has me beat by about 50.
Hey, quick FYM etiquette here. If you FYM someone and you hit them, how many payback shots are they allowed to get at you if they don't keep hitting you? They can't keep just firing FYMs until they hit you, right? It's
I think
one for one. I hit you, you try to hit me and missed. Now we're even.
I think so, because it's not my fault that their aim wasn't as good as mine.
Yep. Okay. That's where
but I in all seriousness to your question, I do understand the tactical uses of it, but I do see it could potentially be harmful that you kind of tag the wrong guy on the wrong day, and next thing you know, you have 100-mile-an-hour balls flying over your head when you're standing at the net. So I don't know if that's something the APTA should down the road look into. I know in the always popular Johan and Steven match against Drew and Tomas, when it looked like they were playing an arcade game. I know that was entertaining, and it was definitely not malicious. It was to try to win points. But I think that's something that they may have to look at. That the wrong guy may get hit and not be so friendly with getting hit with it.
There you go.
My new favorite one was Johan trying to hit a friend of ours, Graham. Graham's like running off the court, and Johan goes forward that big backhand. Oh, poor Graham, you're like, where else are you going to go? He just like runs off the side of the court.
Well, who used to do that before even the FYM came out? If you played like DeRozan Lubau and you popped up a sitter and you went running off the court, DeRozan Lubau would still try to hit you out of bounds. Even if they missed the shot, they would still try to hit you when you were like, in the fetal position against the side screen.
Rowley does that. Mike Rowley will hit you if you step off the court. You might as well try and go into the court because
Exactly.
stand next to the fence.
Exactly.
All right. Favorite movie? What are we going with?
Oh, Top Gun.
New one or old one?
I'm an old school guy, so I'm gonna have to say the old one.
New one was good. New one was good though, wasn't it?
New one was very good. It was very good, and they left it open for the next one as well.
Yeah. No, I was a big fan. Took the kids and planes fly. Oh, it was amazing.
Did you see Wakanda Forever already, Dave?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Did you see Wakanda Forever already? What's that? The Black Panther movie?
Black Panther, new Black Panther.
Just out.
I did not see that. No.
No. All right.
See, I got 3 young boys, so I got a superhero dork, and
I have not.
oh, it was amazing. Plus, I love movie nachos. All right, best hut in the country.
Ooh, best hut in the country.
What top 3?
I like Indian Trail. I mean, I don't know if you can consider that a hut, but I was just down actually at Marion Cricket Club. Theirs is really nice as well. Unfortunately, I have never been out to play in Chicago, so I can't really.
You never been here?
No.
Wow.
That's a fixable problem, Dave. Let's get you out this year.
How far are you from Indian Trail?
Probably it's probably about a 40-minute ride, 35-minute ride.
Okay. One of our Chicago pros just came out there.
You know what? As a matter of fact, I did just hear that on Wednesday.
Yeah,
Greg O'Neill.
Yes, Greg O'Neill. That's the name I heard.
Yep.
That
really
would make
nice
sense.
Guy. Yep.
But yeah, I think Indian Trail's a nice one.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, apart from the League Classic, best tournament of the year.
I think we did that already.
What? Apart from League Classic, what did I miss?
we said favorite tournament.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I would always have to be biased and say the Short Hills Invitational.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. Ben, we got to get you out there for that this
I
year.
was meant to go this past year. I can't remember what happened.
Yeah, no, that's a great tournament for people. All right.
All right.
Give another one.
All right, Dave. Favorite commentator? Who's your?
Oh, I know.
Favorite commentator?
I know.
If I don't say Patty Hogan, she'll be mad at me.
That's right.
No, I do enjoy listening to Patty. I do enjoy listening to. I really do enjoy listening to all of them because they have different styles. They have different takes on things. They come from different angles and perspectives. So I mean, I do like all of them, but I do like listening to Patty.
All right, but you got to qualify that.
Go ahead. Yeah.
You got to qualify that. Patty, stone cold sober, or a couple drinks in, Patty?
Drinks in.
No, and listen. When Patty's doing her live streaming, she's very serious about it. There's she strictly goes water.
Okay. He means PFP, Patty.
that must be it. Yes.
PFPP. Yeah.
PFP commentating Patty may be a little bit more entertaining.
For sure.
I think you, Rowley, and Patty would make a good one for the PFP events.
Yeah, well, you know what? To kind of throw in a cheap plug, I'm actually going to be commentating the live streaming next Friday. They're doing a pro flight paddle event in Mendham Golf and Tennis Club in New Jersey, and I'll be commentating that night.
Are you doing it with Leon and Ara?
I think they will be there. I think
Cool.
they will be.
That's what the 18th or 19th, is that right? The Friday
It's
night?
Friday the 18th.
Yeah, so we're probably gonna release this on Friday, so that'll be good timing.
It'll be Diamond Dave and the Paddle Boys.
There we go.
Jeez. We get a lot of free plugs with with those guys. It's good.
Yeah, that's like the name of a band, isn't it? Diamond Dave and the Paddle Boys?
I think it could be.
I would think so. If one of you guys can play the harmonica, you'd be all set.
All right, Dave. What's one thing that would drive your wife nuts?
What's one thing that drives my wife nuts? When I'm home a lot.
That's why my dad went back to work. Yeah. Favorite drink? What do we?
Favorite drink? I'd have to say Tito's Club and Cranberry.
Oh, okay, nice. A little lime in there or no?
Oh, plenty of lime. I'm a big. By the end of the night, if it looks like a fruit salad, it was a long night.
How about childhood idol?
Childhood idol. Childhood idol. You have me stumped here. I would probably say.
Doesn't have to be racket sports.
No, I would say probably my childhood idol was Lou Gehrig. I was a big Yankee fan. I was a big baseball fan. Big baseball player growing up, and so I think Lou Gehrig.
All right, excellent choice.
I don't
Paddle
know.
tournament.
He was a baseball player, but I don't know if he was pitcher. I know not.
First
I gotta look
baseman.
him up now.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Come on, first
Played
baseman.
for the Yankees with Babe Ruth and the rest of the crew.
All right, so here's the real question: who did he replace when he started his streak?
Lou Gehrig. Who did he replace?
Well, it was famous because I think the guy got hurt or was sick or something like that, and then Lou Gehrig stepped in, and guy never played again.
It wasn't like Elston Howard or somebody, was it?
No, I think it was. So we'll have to do a quick
Whitey
look.
Ford?
You can't say I think it was.
No,
when you-
I'm pretty sure it was Wally Pipp. Hang on,
Wally Pipp. Okay.
Wally Pipp, American. Hang on, Wally Pipp. Yeah, it was Wally Pipp. There we go, from Chicago, actually. Wally Pipp. That was it. He lost his job to Lou Gehrig.
And he never played again.
He never played for the Yankees again.
Yankees again, right?
Because Lou Gehrig went on some streak and he played gazillion games in a row or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, that was his deal. Wally Pipp. There we go. All right. Paddle tournament or 72 holes of golf? Which you
Ooh,
playing?
72 holes of golf.
So
72.
I know.
You know what? No, I played the other day. I played with Mike Brule, Chicago legend of a guy. But I think like 9 to 12 holes is the perfect amount.
Exactly. Then the
8
patience run out. And,
Fuck 18. You get to like 12. You're like, Jesus Christ.
yeah.
Like,
Won't this end?
I do have to admit that the group that I was in would be a big part of that 72 holes. That would be definitely.
Oh, there you go. Let's give them a plug. Who would be in your foursome? I mean, and for full disclosure, Dave's son's a D1 golfer, right?
Oh,
He
really?
is. He plays golf at Lehigh University.
And
My daughter Chris also played college golf.
Yeah, right.
Edmund was actually just recently in October's issue of Golf Digest magazine.
Oh, that's awesome.
There was an article by the director of instruction at Fiddler's Elbow, Mike Adams, and Edmund was one of the swing models, and it was a nice article. It was like an 8-page article.
That's awesome.
So Edmund was just recently in there, and to give them a kind of a good plug, Lehigh is actually having a really good fall season. They won 2 tournaments, and I think they're ranked the highest in the country that they've ever been.
That's amazing.
So, yep, he's still he's plugging away there.
Speaking of modeling, it's a little known fact. Ben is actually a hand model. So,
Really?
Yeah. Because he's only got 4 fingers with no
Yeah.
thumb. It's
There's
very
not many
strange.
people like that. Yeah.
Yes. So when it's called for that, that's what they call Ben out.
Mhm.
All right.
All right. So let's exclude family just for sake of fun. Who's in your foursome now for the 72 holes of golf?
Ooh, if we're gonna exclude family, I mean, because definitely Edmund and Marissa would be the first 2 draft picks in that lottery.
Then you only have one left.
That's the problem. So if we're not going to include anyone in my family, I'd have to say my 2 college roommates, Steve Ellis and Steve McLean, and probably George Dietz, the director of golf at Fiddler's Elbow.
There we go. All right. Good. Good shout. All right. Last question. We'll let you go. This is always a good one. What's your favorite superhero?
My favorite superhero, Batman.
Come on.
Batman.
Just a rich guy.
Listen, I grew up watching, Batman and back when there weren't electronics and
That's right.
He didn't take the elevator downstairs. He was on that rocket injected podium that went up and down.
Did we have somebody on the show who said Robin?
Robin. Was it Ara?
Oh yeah, he might have said Robin.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson.
That's right. Good stuff. All right. Hey, Dave, we appreciate your time tonight. We'll let you get going. And most of all, I think hopefully people should realize how much you've done for paddle over the years, running tournaments, helping run leagues and all the stuff that you do. And many other people obviously do that is behind the scenes that, you're not getting paid for. You're doing it because of, you love the people that are involved and you love the game. And we certainly know that everybody appreciates you doing that. We certainly do as well. But thanks so much for being on tonight and sharing a little bit about what's going on in Dave's world.
No, thank you. And guys, again, always is my pleasure to be here. And I appreciate you guys asking me. I'm a big fan of your show and I think it's great. I know the paddle world loves it. Everything you guys do with the show, with your kind of still sort of a new adventure in Xenon paddle. I know you do a lot of really good things for the sport and the players and a lot of leagues and tournaments. I think the show is really good because, again, it makes people aware of everything that's going on in the world of platform tennis. So thank you for having me. And anytime I'm more than happy to come and supply, hopefully, a little bit of entertainment.
Thank you.
Always. More when you're drinking, but even sober, you're fun.
Who said I wasn't today?
Good stuff. All right. Thanks, Dave. We appreciate it.
All right. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Roll the credits, fade to black. Thank you to Mr. Dave Broderick. Dave came on Cinco de Mayo 2020. He was one of our first guests. And I think we'll have him on more. He does a lot for the world of paddle. So he's a good dude, and I think, are you going out to the League Classic this year?
Not this year. I don't think.
Okay. All right. Well, you're not going. Well, I won't go either then. So whenever you go next, I'll go. And
awesome.
Dave's awesome. We'll have him on again soon. He's Noah. I'm Ben. We're Inside the Wires. We're out of here.